today is the 200 subscriber roster update. And the roster has gotten so big that for the separate categories, we had to move to a bigger table. But here we are, so let's get started. First off, we will be going from newer to older in the different categories. Category 1 will be Amtrak Electrics. So, this is a Siemens Sprinter made by Bachmann. This is the veterans unit, as you can see. I got it off of eBay used. It needed a little bit of cleanup work, needed a little bit of maintenance, but after that, runs perfect and looks wonderful on the layout, and that's about it. Other than that, it's pretty much stock. So, yep. That is that one. The next unit is another Bachmann Sprinter locomotive. This one is the demonstrator scheme, and for my version of Amtrak, or for my railroad, or whatever you want to call it, number 600 stayed in this livery. It stayed in the demo livery as a heritage unit, and it will stay like this, or I will have it sent off to be painted into something else, like say the Coca-Cola unit, for example, or something else. Or maybe I'll do something myself. Maybe I'll do a Phase 3 or a Northeast Direct heritage unit. I don't know. But for now, it's just gonna stay the demo. And yeah, this one is again bone stock. This one I got basically new old stock, even though they still make them, of course. So yeah, standard Sprinter. That is it for that locomotive. And now we move on to my Acela. So this is from one of the older Bachmann Acela sets. You can tell by the red lettering there. This is number 2017. It has an ESU lock pilot inside of it, and it runs pretty well. Took a little bit of fussing to get it to run well, but for the moment, it's all good to go. It does have a little bit of cosmetic damage. You can see that right there, and a little bit down there and such. Just a little bit of cosmetic damage, but that's one of the reasons I got it for so cheap. But yeah, runs good, looks half decent from afar, and very happy to have that in my collection. And then, of course, naturally, we have the dummy to go with it. If I remember correctly, this dummy has a NC D13 in it. Mostly because, you know, the D13s are $20 and the ESU lock pilots are $30. So save $10 and put a different decoder inside of it. Sadly, the lighted decoders or whatever from ESU and NC, basically the same price as a normal decoder, so just went ahead and got a normal decoder. Makes it easier. I already know those inside and out. So yeah, that is 2036, and on to the next locomotive, which is this Bachmann HHP8. Now, we will see this locomotive again later on in the roster update, because this is the Fubi that's half Mark, half Amtrak. I do plan on getting another HHP8 so that this one can become fully Mark, but for now we got it on both sides. So this is number 650. It's your standard Bachmann Spectrum HHP8, and I did manually connect the motor wires to the decoder. So it does have an 8-pin plug, but the motor performs a little bit better if you directly connect the motor and go around the board. So that's what I did. It runs pretty decently. Can't complain. Again, I want to get another one. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that. It has an ESU Lock Pilot 5 inside of it. Got that one at a train show. Oh, I would also like to say that the dummy power car 2036, eventually that will get swapped out for another powered car, along with when it becomes a full 6-car set. So that thing should be zooming by the time I'm done with it. On to our AM7s. So this is number 928. As you can see, it doesn't have any numberings on it. Some of the details are missing or screwed up. This side is pretty okay. This side not so much. You can see the windshield wipers are having some issues there. See the AC box on the top there is gone. This toaster is on its last legs. The motor is starting to go out. Sometimes the brush will like skip a pole. Yeah, this toaster is on its last legs. Eventually, I would like to get another Phase 4 to replace it, along with just another Phase 4 to go along with that one. So, 2 total fully functional Phase 4s. This one will probably be turned into a parts loco once I get some other ones in. So yeah, hopefully 2 more of these coming. Probably 921 and whatever other one I can find. And then this one will be retired, probably turned into a dummy, and maybe be turned into a cab car? Don't know. But even if that thing gets retired from having a motor and running on the main line all on its own, it'll find service somewhere on my railroad. Somewhere on my layout. It'll find a spot, one way or another. This is my Phase 3 AM7. Both of these are from the 2001 run or whatever. This was my first AM7 and it has been solid its entire life. Everything about this AM7 is perfect and it runs awesome. This is number 901, as you can see. I would like to get a 908 to go with it. I want 2 of each, but the Phase 4s are proving, the Phase 5s are proving very hard to get. But yeah, alongside that with all the other projects I've been doing, the duplicating my toaster phases have not been on the top of that. But yeah, so that's that. Both these toasters do need horns, probably painted brass horns, but that'll get done eventually. So yeah, both of these toasters have TCS X2 decoders or whatever. They're the TCS decoders designed to be used for the AM7. We'll do the Phase 3 first. On to my Bachmann E60s. So these come in the blue DCC box or whatever. And these locomotives, once you put some work into them, they are solid. They have a decent drive. Everything about them is okay or decent. You know, nothing's bad and nothing's great. They run out of the box. Eventually my Bachmann decoder in this one did blow up, so I tore it down, I took it apart, I ripped out the Bachmann decoder, I ripped out the power filtering caps on the motor, took those out, direct wired the motor, direct wired everything, and this thing runs way smoother now. It's great. It has an NCD13 in it, inside of it, because that's what I had on hand at the time. It does have a D13J, if I remember correctly, so I could swap them out for, say, a lock pilot if I used a JST to 8-pin adapter, etc., etc. Runs fantastic. Absolutely love these things. Almost the exact same story with the phase 2 here. The decoder did not blow up, but I was already rebuilding one of them. Might as well rebuild the other one as well. This is the phase 2 version, number 971. Again, also an NCD13. Pretty much built the same way as the phase 3 here. Yeah, and these two have pulled plenty of older regionals and plenty of night owls and crescents, etc., etc. Next up, and the last for the Amtrak Electrics, is my single Walther. Can't quite fit it. Oh, no. Okay, close enough. Is my single Walther's Proto Phase 2 Metroliner. I got this for a shockingly good price, and I'm like, oh, finding a Phase 2 coach to go with my Phase 2 parlor should not be much of an issue at all. I have yet to see one show up. This is like a year ago. So that's that. This has a TCS decoder inside of it using the 9-pin JST. And it's been working great. Sadly, it cannot do 18-inch radius curves, but that is okay. That is alright. I do have a set of Bachmann Metroliner Phase 1 dummies. I run behind it. One of the faces of the dummies is up against the rear end of this cab, so it looks like it's two Phase 1s permanently connected, and then they're coupled up to a single Phase 2. That's the best way to go about it if you're going to mix phases. So that's that. One, I don't have it yet, my friend does, but I plan on buying it off of him. One of the Phase 1 Bachmann Metroliner dummies actually has an open door, so it'll work, or it'll look decent connected up to the rear end of this one, face to back. I'm really excited for that. If I can ever get down to his area again, that's gonna be super cool. Now we move on to the diesels. So again, starting from newest build date to oldest, we have Bachmann ALC 42 Amtrak long distance Charger, 4200 horsepower, number 300. I could have gotten the E8 Phase 1 or the E8 Day 1 paint scheme, but honestly, I've seen so much of it, I kind of just wanted a casual one, so this is what I chose. I chose number 300, class number. This is in Phase 6, because in my opinion, Amtrak, when they go and repaint their other Phase 6 locomotives to Phase 7, which has the swoosh in the middle instead of this arrow in the back, they should keep 300, number 300, in Phase 6 as a heritage unit, even though Phase 6 is going to be relatively short-lived. Yeah, and then eventually later on when I get like number 313 or something like that, I can pair my Phase 7 with my Phase 6. Yeah, very nice model. I love the sounds. The horn is fantastic. It really is a great model. That has the stock TCS decoder inside of it. So this is an Athearn Blue Box P42, engine number 9. The marker lights do work and all that. It's got a interesting little board inside that handles all of that. Again, markers work, headlights. It's got an interesting daughter board that controls all that. You just put the 3 wires, blue, white, and yellow, from the decoder to the daughter board, and it just kind of does its thing. Don't know how to get one of those again, but you know, it's cool. I got this off of eBay for like $50. It's got a Digitrax decoder inside of it. It runs decently. I would like to swap it with a Kato motor or a Genesis motor or something like that. But for now, this is how it is, and it runs pretty good. Runs pretty decent. It's just, you know, your standard. Is that phase 2 or phase 3? That looks like phase 2. It's just your standard phase 2 P42. Next we have some old Walther's train line B32-8s or whatever you want to call them. This one is number 519, and it's in the phase 3 Pepsi can, as you can see. This has an NC DASR decoder, which I think it's based off of D13, but I'm not entirely sure. This is the first one I got off of eBay. And number 510 here is basically the same thing. Walther's train line. That same thing, just a different number. Same DASR decoder, same everything pretty much. I just happened to come across the second one, and I decided to snag it because I could put these on some early trains. I could put them on MOW trains. You know, I can do a number of things with those. So this is once again a Walther's train line, F40PH, number 231, Operation Lifesaver unit. Not much to talk about this guy. It also has a DASR locomotive, or a DASR decoder rather, and it runs pretty solid. Same deal here. This one's just in phase 4 instead of phase 3 OLS. It does have a black pilot on it, sadly, but that's just how she goes sometimes. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Phase 4. They run together nicely, etc. This is the last Amtrak locomotive, as far as I can remember. I believe this is a Lifelike Proto 1000 RDC. It has, I think it has a Digitrax decoder, if I remember correctly, just because I had one laying around, and I don't really plan on running this with anything else except for maybe number 35, if I can get a number 35 for cheap enough. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Just your box standard RDC. I did install, yeah, you can kind of see it there. I did install an LED in the middle, so it does have a car light. I can toggle that on and off. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I need to fix the headlights in it because it lights up the entire cab basically. Because at the time when I installed it, I wasn't all that great at installations. So yeah, that is that. Now we move on to the Norfolk Southern stuff. Here we have segments 3 and 4, the NS fleet. So first up, again, starting from newest to oldest, is a brand new inquiry. This is a second tooling, or whatever you want to call it, Intermountain ET44AC. I absolutely love this thing. It's great. The detail is wonderful. The LEDs are bright. They do their ditch light thing. It's wonderful. And I love the ET44 because of that big ol' rad, that offset exhaust. It's just a beautiful engine when it comes to the modern stuff. Absolutely adore these engines. When this thing showed up on eBay for $135, I picked it up immediately. I could not say no. And I absolutely adore this thing. It is fantastic. I believe it has a LockPilot 5 in it. I don't know. I didn't open it. I already had a decoder. It was already programmed, so I just rolled with it. So yeah, wonderful engine there. And then here we have a first tooling Intermountain ES44. This thing is a lot lighter. The motor is not as good. The drive is relatively the same, but it's just kind of looser. I don't know. The detail is still fantastic on it, but it does not pull all that great, and it does not perform as good as its retooled counterpart. But yeah, it does look good. This is number 8091. This was the first ES44AC in NS's third order of the ES44. So this would be the first one to come from their third order of GEVOs. So yeah, nice looking model. LEDs do their thing. It's great, and it looks really nice when it's running with its Intermountain brother. I would also like to point out that ES44 does also have a LockPilot 5 inside of it. So here is a Kato. There we go. Is a Kato SD9043 Mac. This one is CEFX, as you can see, number 118. This model runs great. I put I believe it has an NCD13 inside of it. And yeah, I really love these massive diesels from the SD80 and SD90 era. It's just, they're huge, 80 feet 2 inches, from coupler to coupler, if I remember correctly. Oh, it's just so good. And it runs fantastic, and it runs on 18s. Oh, it really is wonderful. I love this model. And when I was able to pick it up for $80, I was more than thrilled. So that is that. Very happy with that. I will never not be happy with that. It's great. Moving on, we have a lifelike Proto 2000 SD60M. If you are looking for a good running 6-axle and you're okay with taking it apart, servicing it, and installing a decoder yourself, and you want just a cheap, solid runner, buy one of these. Proto 2000 SD60s are, in my opinion, the best starting locomotive if you want a heavy 6-axle that can pull. There's a chance you will get one that might need some work, maybe some replacement axles, or yeah, replacement gears for the axles. You might have to buy some LEDs to put in the nose and rear for the headlights, because the originals are a bulb, but they don't want to run on 12 volts. It's weird. So yeah, if you're looking for a starter locomotive and you want a heavy road diesel, the Proto 2000 SD60s are where it's at. These things are great. This one has an ESU Lock Pilot 5 inside of it, and that'll be a recurring thing as we continue here. This, yeah, you guessed it, it's a Proto 2000 SD60 standard cab. I think this one has some TCS decoder inside of it, if I remember correctly. It runs okay. At some point, I might swap it with a Lock Pilot, but for now, it runs okay with everything else. I'd like to make it clear, I have all of my mainline freight, which is on this side. All of my mainline freight is speed matched to these Proto 2000s. So no matter what lash up you put together, they should run perfect with each other. So yeah, that's that. As you can see, all of these Conrail engines that I'm showing with the Norfolk Southern ones, they all have patches on them. And, oh, ignore that. The patches, like, they're basic. You can very clearly tell that they're basic, but they get the point across. This is not a Conrail locomotive. This is a patched Norfolk Southern locomotive. This patched real quick. Put back on the main line, because NS needs their horsepower. So that is that. Next up, we have a Bachmann Spectrum -8. This is one of the ones where it runs long hood forward for the controls. These Spectrums, I'm going to be fully honest, are not easy to put DCC into, but it is very doable. There's a number of different ways you could go about it. It's very possible. You could keep the light board and modify it to work with the decoder. That's what I do, just because sometimes it's just nice to have like the factory mounting spots and all that. So yeah, that's what I did with this one. It runs okay. It's not great, but it's not bad. I got this one for $30, and then I threw, I want to say a D13 inside of it, but it could be an ESU as well. I can't quite remember. What I put inside of it. But yeah, it's one of those. It runs pretty decent. One runs well with everything else. If I can find the other number version as well for $30, I will buy that one, and I will convert that one as well. If you can find these cheap enough and you're willing to work on them, I fully recommend it. Here we have a Proto 2000 or Proto 1000, not entirely sure, SD50, which is close to an SD60, but not quite. It's got that 645 prime mover that was tuned up to run at a higher RPM to give more horsepower, and that higher RPM is one of the reasons they failed. In real life, for Norfolk Southern, these got turned into SD40Es, which was basically just an SD50 that was detuned and upgraded electronics and cab and stuff like that. And those SD40Es are still roaming the rails today, and yeah, very happy to have one of these. I only plan on ever having the one SD50. It isn't really much of a reason to get more of them. And this one also has I believe it's a Log Pilot. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a Log Pilot 5. So these next few are a lot more basic. This is an Athearn Blue Box SD40-2. And yeah, as you can see, this one used to be a Norfolk and Western. And it's very basic, Just throw a decoder into it. I want to say it's an NCE D13. I'm pretty sure it's an NCE D13. And yeah, that was just thrown into a blue box engine. This one, same story. It's an Athearn Blue Box SD40-2. You can see the patches. Again, another D13. It's fairly straightforward. Here we have another Athearn Blue Box. This one is a GP60 Operation Lifesaver number 7140. This was my first Blue Box conversion. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oftentimes I will run these three together. This one also has a D13. I will run these three together most of the time. It's just kind of how that goes. I don't really plan on getting any more blue boxes. What I would like to do is get a Proto 2000 GP60 and a Proto 2000 GP38-2. Throw lock pilots in them and have those be like my main local power, right? Something along those lines. This is a Bachmann DCC Blue Box GP50 that I received for free, actually. It used to belong to someone in the Capital Fremo Club. This was given to me as a younger lad, because I was hanging around there a bit, and they said, hey, let's give this kid one of his locos when he passed. So I'm very thankful for that. This thing is still kicking around to this day. It is Norfolk Southern GP50, number 6556. Right now it has an NCE D13 inside of it because the Bachmann decoder that used to be inside of it blew up. Dead short. It would not do anything. It would trip the power supply. So after that happened, I had wired it for DC only because I only had DC at the time. And then eventually it got upgraded to this D13. This D13 is acting funny. I tried resetting it. It's just, it randomly runs away. So at some point I'm probably going to throw a Lock Pilot 5 inside of it, just because it deserves it. It was basically my first freight locomotive. Next up, we have a pair of Walther's Trainline GP15-1s. They both have NC DASR decoders inside of them, and they often run together on a local train. Again, patched Conrail. Yeah, so that is that. Both are using DASR decoders. So these two, this one is done for the most part. This one has weight added into it. Both of these are from those Bachmann starter sets. You can find them on eBay for like $30 if you look hard enough. This one has weight added into it, and it has an NCE D13. As you can see, I put just a random horn on it. This one's blue. Just put a random horn on there. This one will eventually get the same treatment, number 4270. I put just a black horn on it. This one still needs some work. It needs couplers, it needs to be weighed down, it needs a decoder, etc., etc. But at some point, those two will run together with some PRR cars behind it for a Norfolk Southern Office Car Special. So yeah, that is that. Now we move on to the oddballs. Here we are for segment 5, 6, and 7. Alrighty, so first up for the oddball diesels / random era, whatever, is a Athearn Blue Box GE Demonstrator C40-9. At least I think it's the C40 version anyway. I just kind of got this in a lot, and I figured it'd be cool to have, right? So I gave it an NC D13, just like all the other blue boxes, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It runs alright. It could use some upgrades, but yeah, she does indeed work, and it is programmed with the other, or speed matched with the other NS engines. So there's that. This is my lone CSX engine. I found one of these Bachmann SD40-2s for cheap. It does not have sound, sadly. But I found one of them for cheap. Oh no. Anyway, I found one of them for cheap, and I like the CSX black scheme, so I just kind of went with it. It's my one and only CSX engine. It might stay my one and only CSX engine. I might get a Proto 2000 SD60 to go with it, you know, in the YN2 or whatever paint scheme, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, neat looking engine, and if I go on a layout that has mostly CSX, well, I'll have something to run with it. Next is for the Conrail era. This is an Atlas U36C. I think it has some random decoder inside of it. I can't remember what I put into it. I want to say it's some strange Digitrax controller that just so happens to speed match with the other one over here, but I could be wrong. So yeah, this one is meant to be in Conrail era, so it's not patched over or anything like that. So yeah, Atlas U36C with a Digitrax decoder, and then we have a Penn Central, which should be patched out really, but I'm not going to just because. It's a Penn Central U33C. It's another Atlas. I think this one has a TCS decoder of some kind in it. Love that bell on the side of the locomotive there. That's cool. But yeah, just a Penn Central engine. I had gotten this one first, and then I got that Conrail U33C a little bit ago, or not too long ago, to go with that U33C, because I just simply didn't have anything to run with it except for maybe that Conrail SD40-2, which is now patched for NS. So there's that. This is a Bachmann Blue Box RF16. It still has the original Bachmann DCC decoder inside of it. I need to swap it out. Same for that SD40-2. Has the factory Bachmann decoder. I should really swap it out. That same deal. This is an RF16B unit. Again, factory decoder. I should swap it out. This is a Proto 2000 FA2 locomotive. I think this has a Digitrax decoder, if I remember correctly. I think. Yep. That's pretty much it. I took it apart, I rewired it, I installed the decoder. That's pretty much it for the most part. That horn might need replaced at some point. So yeah, that is that. Here we have I believe it is a Bachmann Spectrum Seaboard Airlines VD62. It runs pretty darn well. It is DCC. It does have like a standard Bachmann Digitrax decoder, but it's not bad. It seems to run pretty decent. It's got a headlight on the front, and it's got a rear light on the tender. And yeah, it runs smooth. I really wanted a bigger wheel set steam locomotive. I got this one for like $100, $90, something like that, and I've been pretty happy with it. So yeah, if I do get any more steam, it'll be PRR, and then maybe this one will get sold at some point, but for now, that is my only DCC steam locomotive, and I'm perfectly happy with it. Now we move on to these guys. This is a Penn Central Bachmann Spectrum E33. It has an ESU Lock Pilot 5 inside of it, and this one will be the leader of like 4 of them. That way I can run some pretty long freight trains on the Northeast Corridor Historical Society layout, and I can run them with full electric power. That one is Penn Central, number 4605. Like I said, that one will be the lead engine. This one is New Haven, number 300. Same decoder, Lock Pilot 5. And yeah, I don't really care what other E33s I get. I don't care if it's Conrail, New Haven, Penn Central, Norfolk and Western, Virginian. I do not care, just as long as I have 4 of them, and either the Conrail or Penn Central is leading. And then this is a Bachmann GG1. This one does have sound on it. It's okay. I got the Penn Central one because I can pretty much throw this on anything. It can run as a Penn Central locomotive, it can run as a Conrail locomotive, it can run as an Amtrak locomotive. All 3 of them had them in the Penn Central paid scheme. Now I could look up the specific number and figure that out, but yeah. I got the Penn Central one to be diverse, and someone else at the Northeast Corridor Historical Society, Drew, already has a bunch of these GG1s that he strings up to use as motive power for his freight train, so I figured, well, get one just to have to use on random things, and then get a bunch of E33s for the rest. Now we move on to the final stuff on the roster, the commuter railroad stuff. Alrighty, we are getting down to the end here. If you guys are still here, thank you for watching this far in. This is the last segment here. Alrighty. Get this prop back up here. Alright. Sip of water. Okay. So, next up is, we saw this guy earlier. This is the Mark HHP8. Again, it's only the one side, but you know, once I get another HHP8 that is Amtrak, this one can be dedicated to becoming a Mark only HHP, obviously. So yeah, that's that. As I already said, it's got an ESU Lock Pilot inside of it. Moving on is a Mark AM7. For some reason that side's the plate fell off there, but got a Mark AM7 here. This one actually has an NCE decoder inside of it, and that came like that off of eBay. So that was nice. Didn't have to buy a decoder for it. It already had one. Yep, runs good. It's all set to go. Very happy with that guy. Okay, here we have a SEPTA AM7, by far my best running AM7, I think. This one also has a TCS decoder inside of it. All of my toasters have a TCS decoder except for that NC one I just showed. Oh, that Mark engine was 4900, by the way. This SEPTA engine is 2305. Like I said, runs good. Very happy with it. On to the next locomotive here. This is... okay. This is a Bachmann Spectrum New Jersey Transit F40PH. This one was quite interesting to put DCC into. So obviously it has the split frame system on it. If you look on the bottom, you can see there. It has a split frame system, so you need to pick up power from each side of the frames. You need to isolate the motor from the frames, and then you gotta add your motor wires from the decoder to... that coupler is loose. So is that one. Gotta take the motor wires, connect them to the motor. Again, make sure everything is isolated. For the light board, you have to isolate the rear headlight, isolate the front headlights, and then isolate the electrical system for the strobe lights. Then obviously you hook up your headlight, you hook up your tail light, and then you take the blue and green wire and you connect that to the circuit for the strobe lights, and that will allow you to toggle the strobe lights on and off with function button number 1 on your controller. This one, I want to say, uses an NCE D13. I'm pretty sure that's what's inside of it. But yeah, with a little bit of work, these engines can run very well, and it's very heavy, so it can pull quite a bit. Very happy with that NJT locomotive. Here is one of my pride and joys. This thing is my baby. You be careful if you pick it up. If you pick it up without permission, your hand comes off. This is a New Jersey Transit E60 made by American GK, which used a lot of Athearn Blue Box parts. Now, when I bought this, it was mislabeled as an Atlas, and it was a dummy. It had nothing inside of it. It was a rolling chassis, and that was it. So between a few junked Athearn Blue Box engines and making my own drive shafts, this thing, I powered it. It has a motor inside. It can run all on its own. It's crazy, the story this thing has. This thing was a project across 2 weeks. It probably has a solid 9 hours of work put into it in order to get it running. It has a lock pilot installed. Very happy with it. It could use some cleanup here and there. The windows are fogged up and stuff, but honestly, more than happy to have a running New Jersey Transit E60. I never thought I'd have one of those. That thing just showed up on eBay for $40 or something like that. Actually, it might have been 50. But I bought it as soon as I could because I know they are impossible to get a hold of. So I grabbed that the moment I saw it. This is a lifelike Proto 1000. I believe it's an R17 Redbird subway car. I have 3 coaches that go along with this, and I really like this thing. This thing is awesome. It's hard to find these Redbirds. I want to find another set of 4. I haven't been able to, because I'd really like to run 8 of them, but one can hope. One can hope. For now, just got 6652 for a power car. And then, like I said, I got 3 more passenger cars. So I do have a 4-car set. It's nice and hefty. This also has an NCD13 inside of it, and just very happy with it overall. Now we have the cab cars. If you can't tell, I like the Keystone service / Southwest service. I just really like the Metroliners that got turned into cab cars. I really do. So this one and that one were made by my uncle, great uncle, something like that. Like 25 years ago or something like that, right? And they have custom decal work, etc., etc. That horn is nice. I added the light bar. The cosmetic light bar was my contribution to setting this thing up. This one has... Well, that's interesting. Don't know what that came off of. Okay, noted. Put that to the side. This one has a metal weight on it. This is one of the rare ones that does not have zinc rot, zinc pest, whatever you want to call it. If you want to put metal wheels on these things, you want to use Intermountain number 38s. 36s are just slightly too small. The bottom of the truck. That truck is loose. It's kind of as tight as that'll go. Interesting. That rear one is pretty solid though. Okay, anyway. The 36s are slightly too small for that, and the bottom of the truck will scrape against like switches and stuff. So you want to put Intermountain number 38s on there. Just for these Bachmann Metroliner dummies. That is what this is made out of. It is made out of a Bachmann Metroliner dummy. So we got that one. The light bar on this one is a little tall. This one, the light bar is a little more... It's a little shorter. And it seems a lot better that way. Now this one, I could not track down another metal weight to put under it, so it just has some random boxes somewhat strategically glued onto the bottom of it, and it adds something to the bottom. Again, same wheels, Intermountain number 38s. Same light bar. It is a little lower. I do think that light bar looks slightly better, and that was another one made by my uncle 25 years ago. This one I got incomplete off of eBay. An older fellow was planning on making 5 of these. He only got halfway through one. Then eventually he sold them on eBay in a lot. I could tell just from the side profile that something was different about this one. I asked him for more pictures, he sent them, and then I bought it instantly because the face was already decaled up and it had the diaphragm and such. And then I added the P5 horn on top off of an E60 just because I thought that was cool. Then of course I made another light bar for it. On the bottom, it is actually an old Walther's Amfleet chassis. Then the truck mounting is cut away so that these Walther's Horizon trucks can fit on there. And that's what he used as the chassis for this thing, which I think is pretty neat. And it runs well. It rolls well. With a bit of work, I got this thing running pretty well, and now I got three of these cabs. Moving on here, we have a older Walthers. No, I'm missing a window. I'm missing a window. I guess it popped out at some point. It's rattling around in there. It's still in there. Okay. So this is a custom decaled. Again, I did not do this. I found it like this. A custom decaled SEPTA cab car. This one is numbered 2400. It's a little bit of a foobie. Focus. It's a little bit of a foobie because 2400 doesn't exist. The class number is 2401. That's just how that is. This one has Walther's proto trucks installed on the bottom, or proto ampli trucks installed on the bottom. That is used to pick up power because it has an ESU 10508 or whatever, and it's basically a cab car light bar. So the marker lights will light up. You can have the headlight light up. I added the brass horn and painted it silver. And the inside of the car lights up as well. You can either have all the lights come on, or you can control individual zones. It's a cool little board that that someone recommended me for that. That was cool. So this, if you look up Bachmann double-decker passenger car, these will show up. They are based off of a Chinese prototype, if I remember correctly, and they also just so happen to look like the double-decker mark cars, the ones that don't look like the NJT cars. And so someone by the name of Brian Steckler, if I mispronounced your name, I apologize. Brian Steckler decaled these up years ago. He made 4 of them total, and this one is a cab. As we can see here, it's got custom cut holes for the windows and such. Got the horn right there. Yeah, very happy to own these. Very happy he was willing to sell them, because without that I still would not have any mark cars. So yeah, very, very happy that this is in my possession along with the other 3 coaches. And then, to wrap this up here, this is what you can clearly tell it used to be a SEPTA. Someone primered over it, and then I saw it on eBay for like $15 or something like that, and I bought it, because cab car. Eventually this one will become New Jersey Transit, and it'll get the same treatment as the SEPTA cab right there. And yeah, till then it's just kind of a comic car stuck in the primer gray. Well, that is it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, go ahead and pop them down in the comments. If you watched the whole way through, good on ya. I know this video is long. Happy 200 subscribers. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.